In this video, we're going to be having a look at Kadena right now, currently in a aggressive downtrend. As you guys can see, ever since we broke below right here on September 13, we were a nice little uptrend, and of course, we just came down and crashed when the interest rate or the inflation numbers came back down essentially. And of course, right here was the FOMC meeting. A lot of people were expecting better news, and of course there was a lot of shake and bake. A lot of people got liquidated. We peaked all the way down to 1.31, which is insane, and now we're currently back up sitting at $1.42, sitting at this resistance. Very bad downtrend. The question is will Kadena finally break out of this long downtrend, weak down, boring trend, and come back all the way to 1.58, or are we going to continue down in this level? And of course, guys, we're also going to be having a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's king, Bitcoin's the leader. Bitcoin is currently up 4%, as you guys can see on the right side of my screen, and we know when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go up, and we can see that most of the altcoins are in green right now. So this is very good. This was a dump FOMC yesterday, so the interest rates were raised by the Feds by 75 basis points, which is not the best news. This is why we saw the dump, but of course it wasn't 100, so this is why we're seeing the pump right here. And of course, we're going to be talking about this W pattern right here and what the potential target could be on Bitcoin, and will altcoins follow. So starting off with Kadena real quick, currently ranked 114. So the last time I made a video on Kadena, we were actually ranked 97. We were in the top 100, and now we're slowly decreasing. It is very interesting and unfortunate, but we do have still a big community behind it. 284,000 on the watch list, $1.42. We're also going to be having a price prediction on what could be the price prediction for 2024-2025, and that's about it. $280 million market cap, and we have a volume of 17%, so the volume is up 150%, but it is still low in my opinion. The volume to market cap is currently sitting at 6%, so 6% of the market cap is trading right now, which is pretty low. Not a big fan, and of course, circling supply did increase, so we are nearing that 200 million Kadena in circling supply. Let's dive into KDA, and then we're going to have a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's king, of course. So having a look on Kadena right here, starting off with the 4-hour time frame. So if you guys remember my videos, I mentioned that the EMA ribbons have been a very important level for Kadena. When we broke out of here right here on the EMA ribbon, we were always holding this resistance, and then we came down, and then this has been a resistance, support I mean, and then we came down below the resistance on the EMA ribbon, and then ever since that, this has been acting as a rejection pattern. So this is exactly what is happening right now. Now if we have a look on the daily time frame, we could see that this is a very important level for KDA right here, sitting at $1.30, as you guys can see right here. So I'm going to draw the lines. Okay, we got a rejection right here, another one right here, a few right here, and then one right here, and another one right here. So things are very bad for Kadena at the moment. But if you guys remember in my videos, I mentioned that Kadena could go to as low as $1.75, or 75 cents, sorry. We could go to as low as 75 cents, and that it would be a possibility if Bitcoin does peak to 12K, 13K, even 10K. We could peak and go down, in my opinion, that low. Now, of course, that would be a 50% drop. If we have a look at the market cap, that would be half of the market cap. It would be approximately $140 million market cap. We could literally 100x from here if the market cap goes to 100 million or below. I mean, that is very low, because that from 100 million to 1 billion, that's a 10x, which is very doable. We saw Kadena, I mean, if we go right here on the market cap ratio and we go on all, we saw KDA go to $3 billion, so of course that would be 30x, and that was at the end of the bull market. So imagine what Kadena could do at the start of the bull market going. It could pull off a Solana. This can easily 75 to 100x in my opinion. Now if you guys don't know what Kadena is, I'm not a financial advisor. I would highly suggest to do your own research and due diligence on Kadena, because this coin will literally be crazy. 400,000 transactions per second, decentralized, proof of work. There's not a lot of tokens out there that can be good and be proof of work. I mean, there's a reason why Ethereum went through proof of stake, right? Because they couldn't scale. But the fact that Kadena right now can scale in proof of work and do 400,000 transactions per second is just crazy. So having a look at on the daily time frame real quick, going back to the daily time frame, it seems like we are getting rejected right now, and we're getting a nice little rebound. But if I actually look at the wicks, I mean at the closure and not the wicks, we know that the resistance is this area right here. Okay, so right now this was support obviously, and of course this turned into a resistance if we count the wicks, the body, sorry, if we don't count the wicks, if we count the body, because we want to count at the closure, right? So we know that when we have a big breakdown to the downside, we usually come back, retest before coming back up, and this is exactly what is happening right now on Kadena. Now the question is if we do break below the wicks, that would be even worse, right? So the wicks would be right here. So this is the real resistance. A lot of people say, oh, we should count the wicks. Some people say no, we shouldn't count the wicks. But if we do, we're currently above it. We got rejected by the support. The bulls came in strong, they started buying, and if this does count as a support and rejection, then yes, we could see Kadena go to as high as $1.77. And of course, that would be a 28% pump. Having a look at the stochastic RSI on the daily time frame, we are overbought, oversold right here on the daily time frame, sitting at 685. It seems like we do want to reverse, like we saw right here. So right here we saw a nice little reversal, and then we obviously came back down, then popped back up. We saw a reversal right here, pumped a little bit. We saw another one right here, pumped a little bit, and we saw another one right here, but we didn't really reach that oversold, overbought area. So this is that on Kadena real quick. Let's have a look on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is sort of doing the same thing as KDA. We are also in a sort of in a downtrend right here. The thing is that we are sort of breaking out. This is the downtrend right now, and we are breaking out. We do have 3 hours left until the 4-hour candle closes, as you guys can see. The question is will the 4-hour close above this resistance or trend line? Because if we do, this could be a clear confirmation for a nice little pump. I'm not saying we're going to go all the way up, but it could be a nice little pump to $20,000. Of course, if I take a long right here, this would be 615% pump. If you do 2 to 3x, that could be anywhere from 12% to 18%. So that's that on Bitcoin. But of course, guys, we still have 3 hours left until this closes. If we have a look at the EMA ribbon on Bitcoin, we are still below the exponential moving average. Same thing as Kadena and Lung. I mean, this thing has been, we've been getting rejected essentially by the exponential moving average, so nothing too crazy. On the 4-hour time frame, we are reaching that overbought region right here, but if I have a look on the daily, it seems like we do want to flip and reverse. We're going to have to see how this happens. Right here, we are making lower highs, so this is not obviously the best news. Lower highs, these are all lower highs right here. Lower highs. So obviously, this is a bearish pattern for Bitcoin. Overall, guys, Bitcoin is still in a bear market. There's no question about that. In my opinion, we are entering the 5th wave of the Elliott wave pattern. So I know I haven't spoke about Bitcoin in quite some time, but if I have a look at the Elliott wave pattern right here, it does consist of 5 waves. This is a 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, and then 4th wave right here, and then the 5th wave should be something like that. Now, why do I say like that? Well, the 5th wave can be bigger than the 4th wave, the 3rd wave, because if it is bigger than the 3rd wave, then that it would just cancel out and we could see a bigger downward movement. Now, right here, we do have a very, very strong support region. We saw a lot of action right here. This is approximately where the strongest point of control is, or the second point of control is on the volume profile would be. If I extend that, we could see that this is a support region. So anywhere between $12,000 to $8,900, which is where the CME gap is, that is exactly where our target should be for Bitcoin. That's where the bottom for Bitcoin should be, anywhere around this area. And the reason why I said that is because if I have a look on the CME gapped on futures, we could see that we have a lot of gaps. Now, gaps are essentially things that were closed in the weekend, like, you know, stocks are closed in the weekend. The CME Bitcoin charts are closed in the weekend. It's what essentially institutions close or trade, and we see that we have these little skips right here, and we have a very, very small one right here sitting at 9,625 and 9,945. So we know that gaps usually get filled 8 out of 10 times. I mean, we saw this gap getting filled, we saw a huge gap to the top side, right? And guess what? It got filled right here. You see, if I match this and this, that is a filled gap. But guess what? In a bull market, we're going to have gaps towards the upside, and in a bear market, we're going to have gaps to the downside. So we know these gaps right here are eventually going to get filled in the next bull cycle. I'm not saying they're going to get filled now, obviously, but they're eventually going to get filled. Now, the big question is, are we going to come back down and fill this gap sitting at $9,000? It is very, 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 very possible. We saw this gap getting filled. We saw this gap getting filled. So we're seeing a bunch of gaps getting filled, and they always do get filled. So it's going to be interesting overall to see if Bitcoin can actually come back down to 9,940, under $10,000 just for a little bit. I believe that's when the bottom is going to be, but obviously we're going to have to see where it goes. Bitcoin right now is currently up 3.5% to 4%, looking pretty good, looking bullish. And that's about it. That is my short video on Bitcoin and Kadena, guys. If you guys like this video, of course, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video tomorrow.